Here's something most gay men never do, and I mean almost never. They never actually define what cheating means to them, first for themselves and then as a couple. So think about that for a second. Most of us have never sat down and asked ourselves that question privately, let alone out loud with a partner. We move through dating, situationships, and relationships carrying our own private definition of what crosses the line, and we assume that definition is obvious, that any reasonable person would see it the same way. But that assumption is exactly where things start to quietly fall apart. Is sliding into someone's DMs on Instagram cheating? Or what about a long private conversation with someone you're kind of attracted to? What about sending a harmless dick pic to somebody you'll never meet who lives on the other side of the world? Or what about watching porn? And this isn't just for monogamous couples. If you're non-monogamous or monogamish, this conversation is just as important. Most gay men have never actually answered those questions for themselves, let alone compared answers with somebody that they're committed to. Not because they don't care, but because they assumed they didn't need to. Love felt like enough. The commitment felt obvious. And so the details never got spoken out loud. And that works fine until something happens, until one of you does something the other one considers a violation. And suddenly, you're in the middle of a fight where you're not even arguing about the same thing. One of you feels completely blindsided, and the other genuinely didn't think they did anything wrong. And both of you are right based on the definitions living in your own head that you never once shared with each other. This is one of the most common things I see in my work with gay men, partnered and single. Not malicious cheating, not someone blowing up a relationship on purpose, but two people operating from completely different private definitions of the same word, and no idea the gap even existed. And for single men, it's worth doing this work now before you're in the middle of something and you realize you never figured out where you actually stand. For the couples, don't wait until something happens to have this conversation. The best time to define this together is before you never need to. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you've never actually sat down and defined what cheating means to you, specifically, honestly, for yourself first, that's where this starts. Because you can't have that conversation with a partner if you haven't had it with yourself first. And so many couples wait until something goes wrong to figure that out. And by then, it's a lot harder.